to, hey, this bill is like something that we either want to just like push through so it can get out the way, or we're just gonna be like, let's leave this bill as it is, you know? And for a lot of things that go through like Congress, it's very complicated, you know? Keeping things as it is isn't always like the right mindset or idea, but it is how they work. And so because of that's how they work, more than likely keeping it as a closed or restrictive special rule is gonna be like, hey, we're actually gonna push this bill away because this is not something that we're gonna talk about at all.
Okay.
So one thing that's also very important to note is that a lot of committees in Congress is also influenced by either the Republican and Democratic Party. So do you know like who's like the majority in the House right now?
Isn't it Democrat?
No, it's not Democrats, Republicans. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that means a lot of the Republican people have a lot of say when it comes to what's put out. So that means like, hey, like more than likely because the speaker is a Republican, a lot of people that will be appointed to different powerful committees are going to be majorly Republicans. So that means your rules do go through. So that means when something is being introduced and it's kind of like away from a Republican ideology, then you'll kind of be like, hey, we're just going to slap this on it and we don't want this to really go through. So we're just going to be like, hey, like we already have a majority, it's going to be closed. When it really hits the floor, it's still going to be closed and it's probably not going to go through.
That makes sense.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that kind of encompasses everything. So the final like definition I feel like was very important was the floor. So after a bill is introduced and it goes through all these committees and it goes through all these different delegations and rules and stuff like that, which is really important, and just go back a little bit when it comes to the rules. The rules is really telling us, hey, this is what's gonna happen in the floor, okay? So it's gonna be closed. There aren't gonna be any amendments for this. So when it hits the floor, we're just gonna talk about the bill as it is. There will be nothing added to it. It's just gonna be restricted and closed. If it's open, it's like, hey, the other amendments coming in, this is what we're gonna do, this is how we're gonna continue with this. It's looking like a good bill in general. We're just gonna pour more into this, more clarify it, make it better. This is what we want, kind of thing. The floor is really important to look at because the floor is where delegations occur and ultimately how bills are completely passed to become law. So the floor is really the final say of the all. It's really interesting to see because, I mean, as you can imagine, because the current, the current seating right now is favoring Republicans. The floor also favor Republicans too.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, it's a say all be all on the delegations where it's at. But I mean, as you can imagine, the bill is going through this entire thing. And it's like, hey, we're gonna hit the Rules Committee, and the Rules Committee is major Republican, and the Rules Committee is like, okay, this is gonna be closed. We don't like this bill. It's talking about giving immigrants a bunch of money. We don't want this to happen. They're gonna be making it closed. We're gonna be like, yeah, this is a bill. We're gonna make it 30 seconds for debate time, so that there's no point of this. And then it's gonna hit the floor with already a majority in it. So I mean, it's kind of a done deal. Like, you might as well just throw it away.
So that's how like what they want
can
just continue to occur and occur. This makes
And so another thing I want to touch on, which is very important, is the modified open rules section of this. So when it comes to the modified open rules, it's important to note that it does follow the open rules idea of, hey, like we're gonna add amendments to this. We're gonna suggest a bunch of stuff to this, we're gonna add more to this, but we're really gonna limit it so it doesn't get kind of out of hand. So we have a bill simulation for this. And partway through the bill simulation, we decided to talk about an amendment. So I'm gonna go back up to the open special rules. Under this amendment, we're kind of like, hey, we like this bill a lot. This amendment is great that we added to this bill. You know, it looks great, it looks fine. Somebody, anybody could be like, actually, I want to amend this amendment. And so they add an amendment
Okay.
for the amendment.
Amendment for
The amendment.
So the amendment gets amended.
Yes.
Okay.
But that's not it. We can also add another
No way. No.
Or that's why a lot of things do end up going through modified open rules. Because it's kind of like, hey, we're gonna put this out there. We're gonna restrict this to one amendment.
Okay.
And how this ties back to the power of the rules committee and how special rules are important, because the person overseeing the committee can be like, hey, this is cool. We can do this when it comes to modified open rules. So what we're gonna do for this particular bill that we really like, and we're the majority, we can just introduce an amendment on a very specific topic.
So they can get exactly what?
So they can get exactly what they want
Makes sense.
out of the bill.
Okay.
So they can be like, yeah, this is cool, like we can get this bill through, but the only thing that you're gonna be able to amend in this modified open rule system is this line right here. That's the only thing you can amend, because the entire bill can be full of different statements of monetary policy or different things that's very favorable to the other party. So they can be like, yeah, this right here is what we're gonna have a problem with, so you can just amend this one.
Okay.
So it really just adds to the fact that a lot of things in Congress is really run by step-by-step
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
step-by-step process. So what am I trying to get at here? In general, the rules committee oversees special rules, and special rules are extremely important and vital when it comes to the legislative system and how bills are ultimately passed through. So when a bill goes through a representative and enters into the committee that it's meant to enter, this circle right here is extremely important to the rest of all of these. All of this, being Democrat, being Republican, being a part of whatever committee that you're part of, being in general goes to the floor. Do you have any questions?
I feel like you really brought it together for me. Because I feel like in the beginning I was like, okay, two separate things, but
Yeah.
I can definitely see that you can't have one without the other.
Right.
I would say one thing, like, has this like been a thing for like a long time?
Yeah.
Okay.
So committees has always been established within Congress. I'm pretty sure like the initial like article of federation, confederation, Congress was like relatively weak, and so post that when they like changed it up and stuff like that, current Congress became current Congress. It's like, you know, America became a nation.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure if you know this, but what I won't say federal, what branch of the government system is the strongest? Is it the federal, legislative, or judicial?
I'm saying federal or judicial?
No, it's actually the legislative branch that's
The strongest?
Yeah, because the legislative branch gets to implement laws.
True. Okay.
It's create laws.
Okay.
And they kind of hold the federal branch on like a chokehold.
Okay.
The judicial branch is a little bit away from that. The Supreme Court is like the law, the overarching law of the land. The Supreme Court is meant to execute and say, yeah, this is what the laws are. But when it comes to the legislative, they can basically pass whatever they want. Let's say Matt Gates, I don't know, I was looking through some of the bills that he passed up. One of them was like something that has to talk about space rocks and why space rocks are like should be important or something like that.
Okay.
I know another bill that you can produce. One of my colleagues, as we were going through like a bill simulation, talked about how like fentanyl is a WMD means weapon of mass destruction. Should be applied as that. So bills can get really goofy like that.
Okay.
And so that's why it's kind of like, not like a lot of people, a lot of representatives will be like, hey, let's introduce a bill. And then they'll tell everybody, we introduced this bill, and it's great. But then it's to be like a bill that is just unfeasible. You know what I'm saying? So it goes to the committee, and the committee is like, this is terrible, and takes it out. Or maybe it goes to a committee and there's the majority and they're like, oh yeah, you like this, and then it hits the rules, and the rules is like, this is terrible. We're gonna make the debate time for this 30 seconds and it's gonna be closed.
So this system is more of like a filtration process
It's
to
more like a
filter out all
filtration process.
that don't
Actually,
really.
yes,
Yeah. Okay.
That's basically how it works. But yeah, going back to your initial question, yeah, this has been here for a long time.
Okay. Okay.
It's been modified because a lot of laws are like written statements. So a lot of written statements can be taken in different ways. Of course, like some loopholes are probably like,
It said this, but it
yeah,
we'll take it out.
exactly. A lot of loopholes were probably like overdone. Or